Listen, there are certain moments in history where the pace of change feels too fast, too profound, to be random. It starts to feel like a great cosmic clock is ticking louder than before. I believe we are in one of those times right now, witnessing things that were simply unimaginable even a generation ago, things that the prophets of old wrote about thousands of years ago. These aren't just headlines, they are signs, and they are happening right before our eyes. Before we go any further, if you're someone who wants to understand what's really unfolding in our world through the lens of prophecy and see it not with fear, but with a solid foundation of faith and hope, hit subscribe and stay close. What you'll hear today will open your eyes to the great truths that anchor us in uncertain times. Let's begin by considering a world consumed by conflict. Jesus spoke plainly that before his return, we would see wars and rumors of wars. This wasn't a one-time event, but a continuous theme, a perpetual background noise of global unrest. Look at the news today. You don't have to search far to find a deep, simmering tension between nations or a sudden eruption of regional fighting. It's not just the scale of the conflicts, but their complicated, interlocking nature. It's as if the world is a house of cards, constantly threatening to topple. For centuries, the idea of a conflict that could truly wipe out all life was science fiction. But today, with the simple existence of weapons of mass destruction, the potential for self-annihilation is real. The prophets said humanity would reach a point of such great tribulation that unless God intervened, no life would be spared. That capacity for total destruction is the first shadow of prophecy we see clearly today. The second area is a spiritual one, the slow, quiet decay of moral and relational bonds. The Apostle Paul wrote about the characteristics of people in the last days, painting a picture that sounds strikingly like our current culture. People being lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, proud, without self-control. This is the subtle sign, the change in the heart of society. Think about how many people's lives are defined by seeking more pleasure, more comfort, more affirmation, often at the expense of true love, community, or principle. Families are often fractured, truth is subjective, and basic respect can be hard to find. It's not about judging others, it's about watching the relational structures that hold a society together slowly loosen. Listen, the Bible calls this a falling away, not just from a church, but from fundamental, established moral truth. We see it in the public square, in our entertainment, and in how quickly outrage replaces empathy. It's a spiritual drift that was foretold long ago. Now, let's talk about something incredibly modern and startlingly prophetic, the increase of knowledge. The prophet Daniel was told that his words would be sealed until the time of the end, when many shall run to and fro and knowledge shall be increased. This has a double meaning, but one interpretation is clearly visible in the world we inhabit. Think about the smartphone in your pocket. In previous centuries, human knowledge was said to double every 100 years. By the 1900s, that sped up dramatically. Today, with the internet and the rise of artificial intelligence, knowledge is doubling, some experts say, in as little as a year, or even faster in some fields. We literally have access to more information at our fingertips than entire generations of scholars ever had. This explosion of knowledge, coupled with the ability for humans to run to and fro across the globe in a matter of hours, fulfills a prophecy that was written when travel meant a horse or a sailing ship. The physical reality of our connected world is the third clear sign. The flip side of this knowledge explosion is the fourth sign, the rise of deception. When Paul spoke of perilous times, he warned of those who would be always learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. In a world flooded with information, truth becomes difficult to pin down. We are in the age of misinformation, deep fakes, and curated realities. People can create and spread convincing falsehoods almost instantaneously. This prophetic warning is not just about technology, but about a spiritual atmosphere where people choose what they want to believe, not what is factually or spiritually true. Listen, we see this phenomenon daily. The deliberate confusing of issues, the blurring of lines, and the willingness of many to follow a charismatic leader or a popular narrative, regardless of its foundation. The stage is being set for great spiritual and political deception, just as the scriptures warned. Finally, we find hope in the fifth prophecy, the most encouraging of all, the global spread of the gospel. Jesus said that the end would not come until this gospel of the kingdom is preached in all the world as a witness to all nations. For 2,000 years, this seemed like an impossible task. How could a message reach every single tribe and tongue? But look around. Because of the very same technology that facilitates deception, the internet, satellite TV, radio, and instant translation, the Bible is accessible in more languages than ever before, and the core message of Christ is being broadcast to almost every corner of the planet. I can remember sitting one night, years ago, watching the news and feeling completely overwhelmed by the chaos, and yet, simultaneously, seeing a story about underground churches thriving in restricted nations. That contrast reminded me that even in the darkest times, God's light is penetrating the world. This is not a time for fear, it is a time for hope and readiness, because God's saving message is reaching the final frontiers. So, where does that leave us? Listen, the point of prophecy is not to scare us or to give us a specific calendar date. It's meant to assure us that God is completely in control. The world's story is not unraveling, it's unfolding precisely as the author planned. The conflicts, the moral drift, the amazing technology, the challenge of deception, and the unprecedented spread of hope, these are the birth pangs Jesus spoke of. They tell us that something great is about to happen. My own heart is deeply anchored by these truths. They make me focus less on the temporary troubles of this world and more on the eternal hope that awaits. We are simply called to be prepared. Stay alert, stay in faith, and trust the author of the story. Thank you so much for watching and for allowing me to share this important truth with you.